Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Center Lane podcast, a political debate for the silent majority. My name's John. Really glad to see you all tuned in. This podcast, if it's your first time here, is basically to talk about the center lane, meaning not hard right, not hard left, straight down the middle, right down the highway, huh? So today's topic is going to be about our presidential candidates that are coming up. I wanted to talk a little bit about both sides of the aisle, and maybe we can find amongst us, put our heads together and find a candidate that maybe is going to be right to be our next president, and on down the line. Don't forget, it's not just presidents that we vote for, right? We vote for people across the spectrum, all the way down to our school boards, and et cetera. So that brings me to a little precursor here. Before we can get these elected officials, y'all need to vote, all right? And if you know people that don't vote, you need to talk to those people and get them to vote too. We don't have to all vote the same way. We don't have to agree on everything. But if people don't even vote, well then, we got a problem. It's something that a lot of men and women have given their lives for over the years. So we have this opportunity to have our voices heard. And yeah, I know people like to talk about, oh, but there's fraud and this and that. Some people, I should say. Man, come on. Sure, there's a little bit of fraud maybe here and there, but nothing across the board big enough. There's no way. It would take so many people to be in on it. You know what I mean? Nobody can keep a secret. How many people would take to swing an election? A lot. And they'd have to put their careers on the line, et cetera. So, I think that's a cop-out. Just remember, too, in the voting process that 50% of the electorates are independents, registered independents. That's a beautiful thing and an opportunity for a center lane person to get in there, right? I mean, that would be that's our lane. One thing I find very kind of disturbing from my point of view, again, is that a lot of the primaries in the state primaries, Republican and Democrat, as an independent, you can't vote for the candidate on either side. So it makes it kind of tough, and it also makes things skewed a bit because if 50% of the electorate can't even pick a candidate, then that candidate can fall on the more extreme side of right or left because of that, because their base is going to get them in. Example, Trump, on the other side, as well. So I think that's something that would be a great idea. And some states do allow independents to vote for one and or the other, like New Hampshire does. That's why a person like Chris Christie or someone can do well there, because independents can vote. I don't believe they can vote for both primaries. I think you can do one or the other, which is a great idea. Okay, look. Independents should be able to vote for both primaries. That's kind of getting people jumping in there and trying to get, bad candidates so their candidate on the other side will win. That's not going to work. But, maybe we could make it so that they could vote for one or the other. I'm sure there's a computer software program somewhere out there that can make that happen, right? I mean, so they can put a man on the moon. Let's agree on one thing, too, before we talk about these candidates. Let's try to get somebody in who's not a brand builder. I think his name was Dan Crenshaw from the congressman from Texas. He had a really good point he made once, was like, these people come in to get elected. First thing they do is bring their iPhone, go into the chamber, make some ridiculous comment that's not going to happen. It's a waste of everybody's time. But then they go ahead and they try to raise money off it and build their brand. Hey, I'm fighting for you. Yeah, there's some people out there that think that your kind of off the fringe idea is a good one, and they'll give you money. But the majority of us think it's ridiculous and a waste of time. So let's try to see if we can get rid of that and make that happen. I think that Dan Crenshaw, he was a Republican. That's a great idea, and I give him props up for that. All right, let's talk about the candidates real quick. All right, there's the fun part, right? Democrats, what do we got? Well, again, looking for the center lane, we have Biden. You know what? I think he really strives to find that, but I think he's kind of sold himself out a little bit to the left a little bit in this run. Now, he's gotten some things done. Don't get me wrong. He got the transportation bill done. I think it's the CHIPS bill done. These are bipartisan things he made happen. You got to give him credit for that, man. He's an 80-year-old guy, but he got it done. But I think maybe, and I think there's some room to work with this. For example, the student loan forgiveness. That rubs people the wrong way that paid back their student loans already. Where's my money, right? I mean, I paid mine. My daughter paid hers. I think maybe a center lane approach might be, hey, you know what? We're not going to forgive your loans, but I'll tell you what, we can do something about that interest, because some of those student loans are stacked against people. They'll never get them paid off. So how about the government steps in and says, you know what? let's get it down to 2%, or, maybe we can work out another way of you to work it off, My nephew, my niece's husband, when he graduated from college, he got his teaching degree, and he did 5 years. He worked as a math teacher in a very difficult area to find math teachers. And he did that for 5 years, and they took some of his student loan off. So he gave up where he could have made more money. So he made sacrifice, and yet he got some forgiveness on his loan as well. So it worked out good on both sides. That seems like a pretty common sense approach. Your thoughts? I would love to hear them. All right, so we got Biden. So, yeah, he's who that's our candidate on the Democrat side. Do we wish he was younger? Yeah, we can't do nothing about that. But yeah, that age thing is a real problem for a lot of people, and I understand why. Really, we don't have much after that. We do have Kennedy, and actually somebody left a comment about him, and I thought that was great. And I wrote back to her that I would ask my wife about Kennedy, because my wife, even though she's a Republican, which, okay, I still love her. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. She's center lane too. She is. She's all right. But she is interested in Kennedy. And from my viewpoint, he's a mixed bag, Environment, great. He wants to do something with the healthcare so people get the proper healthcare they deserve. Fantastic. But I have a little problem with his science, He, the bioweapons of viruses that are being built, he says against us. And when he got to specific ethnicities, that's going a dangerous path. Come on, man. I mean, there could be some bioweapons. I have no doubt that's possible. But you start saying, okay, black people will get this, but Jewish people won't, and etc. You've probably heard the headlines there. That's a tough one, I don't know. Again, I would love to hear your thoughts on him. He does have some good points, though, too. He is, he's passionate about what he believes in, and I think that's great, and he has some good ideas. So, and then last but not least, on the Democrat side, we have, Marianne Williamson, I think her name is. She's the New Age author, but her candidacy looks more like a book tour, because she's trying to sell a book right now, and a lot of these candidates who are no-hopers, that's what they do. You get your name out there, you get a lot of free publicity, because, you don't have to pay to say, so-and-so, the candidate, is going to go and be here this day. And, oh, by the way, I've got a book for sale, too, you might be interested in. So, she's probably not a serious candidate. On the Republican side, just real quickly, and there's quite a few, so I'm going to move a little bit faster here. Trump's going to get it, unless, what could happen to him and or Biden, or anybody for that matter. But they're both old, and it's a year and a half away. I'm just saying, that's something that's out there. But he's pretty much got the, he's got the nomination. Nobody's going to catch him. They're racing for second place, and that's looking pretty jumbled up right now. Although, out of that, we're getting some people that we haven't really seen or heard from before that could be a future for a center lane candidate in particular. Trump is to the right, of course he is, but he's almost a nod and a wink too in a lot of stuff. He says something, but he does others. I guess I have a small soft spot for him because he's a hospitality guy like myself. I think he knows in his work with a lot of people that, some of these culture war people are really going after. And if you remember the 4 years ago, he did a lot of stupid stuff, but he never really was one to single out people, in that kind of degree that we're seeing now from like the DeSantis and that type of thing. So I don't want to see him get in again. I don't, too much drama. That's my biggest problem with him. Just going to be drama. Not all of it's his fault. Media doesn't like him. We can go on and talk a whole episode about him, but he's the candidate. The ones behind him, I talked about DeSantis the other day, and, not a fan. I'm not a fan of him. I'm a Floridian. Again, as I said, just to recap real quick, he started out here great as a governor, and he went to the dark side. He thinks that's his path to being a president, and there's other qualities that he has that I find, not good and not good for the country. But, if you don't know, I talked more in the last podcast. I don't want to go rehash that again. But center lane, I'd love to see him come back there. He was there for a while. And Ron, you want to drop out now, come home, fix this state, and pay attention to things that matter, then I would definitely put you on my list down the road, because he did have potential when he started in Florida. I will give him that. I can't say Vivek Ramsley. I know I butchered his name. Interesting guy. You know what I mean? He's to the right as well too, but he's got a good energy, and so if that energy could be channeled in a more centric, is that a word? We're going to make it one. Okay. It's centric. Then I think that guy, could maybe develop into something. I love that. I love that he goes outside the box. I do. I don't agree with anything he says, hardly anything, honestly. But I love his energy and I love his enthusiasm. And I think that if he was to channel that in the right direction, he wants to ask me for some tips, and he can hit me up on my email address I got at the bottom there, and I'll help him out. But interesting guy. Pence, I'm sorry, Pence, you seem like you're a nice person, and you did step up when it counted finally at the end with Trump and all that whole the riots of January 6th. But center lane, I don't think he could pick out the center lane if you showed it to him. I mean, I think he's an honorable person. I think he's an honest person. He believes in what he believes in. Those are good things. But as far as the kind of candidate that I would be looking for, I don't think he's going to make the cut. Christie. Now, this guy, I like Christie, man. I like him. He's all right. But the thing I worry about Christie is that he might turn into a bully. I see that in him. I don't know why, because he's not portraying that in his campaign. And he looks like he wants to unify, but there's something a little bit maybe it's just a Jersey thing. And I love people from Jersey. Trust me, my wife's from New York and Queens and all that. So yeah, I like that attitude. But I don't know. I think he could be in the plus column. It's gonna be tough for him it's a big hill for him to climb, and he's got the guts, but I just don't know if he's gonna get it. I mean, Haley, man, she just wants it both ways, and I can't help but feel personally that she's trying to become VP. I just feel like that's why she's running, and I can't get that out of my noggin, So again, I'd like to hear your opinions on her. If somebody would like to, jump in, leave some comments, and I'll definitely pick up on our next podcast. I will, because I think that's really great, and I want to hear other people's opinions. And last, I'm just going to go ahead with is Tim Scott. Now, Tim Scott, definitely has a unifying message, but again, he just don't know if he can find that center lane. Can he? I don't know. He's the question mark. I think that he could probably make a really decent choice. If he was to win, I probably wouldn't vote for him, versus Stephen Biden. I'd probably, I lean more Democrat, but I don't always. I'll give you an example. 2008, I voted for Obama. 2012, I voted for Romney. Why? Because I was a small business owner, and I did not like the way the economy was going. And Obama seemed like an all right dude, and he's smart, but he's a college professor type, and they don't really make good presidents. I like somebody with a business background. My choice, would be, to get somebody more with a business background. In 2016, there was Trump and Hillary, and I couldn't vote for either one of them. I did a write-in candidate. I did. Bloomberg, Mike Bloomberg, I love him. I love Mike Bloomberg. And I wrote him in 2016. He wasn't running, should have, but he deferred to Hillary, and then Trump beat Hillary, and that, the rest. And the only reason I couldn't vote for Hillary, it really was because I liked her, but she had that drama. I didn't know much about Trump's drama, what was to come. And I couldn't vote for him just because he was just saying some crazy stuff I just could not agree with on social issues. I just couldn't take it. But with Hillary, I liked her, but I thought, it's going to bring the Clinton drama again, and she's going to win anyway. So that was my bad. In retrospect, I would have voted for her, but I love Bloomberg so much. I go, man, that's the guy who should be our president. So, and then 2020, or 2020, I should say, I voted for Biden because, Trump at that point just, wasn't going to cut it. But I wanted Bloomberg, and, and he washed out of the primary because of Elizabeth Warren. I won't go there because I'm kind of pissed at her still about that whole thing, the way she made him look bad when he really is, guys. I'm sorry. All right, I'm done talking about him. Bloomberg is my guy there, right? So anyways, that's what we've got for candidates, and I would love to hear your guys' opinions on some of them. I'll put it out there, and we can discuss it again next podcast. Real quick at the end, I just want to finish. How about a couple of dream candidates, right? Like, we're not going to get it in 24, but 28 we could, On the Democrat side, I like Mayor Pete. I think he's really smart, and he really does look for the center lane. He gets a lot of flack from both sides, particularly from the left. Oh, he's just trying to blah, blah. No, he's selling out. No, he's not. He's trying to find consensus, man. He's strong. He's a strong candidate. And I also like, I don't know what kind of president he'd be, but Matthew McConaughey, that guy intrigues me too. He's an up-and-comer. I wish he would run for something now so he could set himself up for 28. center lane guy all the way. You know what? I love his attitude. And if you haven't had a chance to kind of see what his platform's thing, he's working on a thing now for getting got with the government, getting grants for a rural schools, so teach people how to get grants that are out there to get some of these rural schools and lift up their education level and all. But he's very involved. Guy's good. He's good. He's an actor, and you know him from, was it Dazed and Confused or whatever, but man, that guy's smart, you know, and he could be something that might be good for this country. Definitely maybe an outlier right now, but keep an eye on him. On the Republican side, real quick, two of them, I like Chris Sununu, you know. I think that, I know why he didn't run. He was smart not to run, because he's not going to beat Trump, and he knows it. You're killing your brand. He's smart enough to know that. DeSantis isn't. Sununu knows he can't beat Trump now. Why put yourself out there and get beaten and then humiliated? In DeSantis' case, you know, lay back. He's going to go in the private sector for a couple years. He'll jump back in. The guy's good. He's sharp, and he knows people, and he has empathy. And I think that's really important. I mean, for any candidate. And last but not least, I've always liked Jon Huntsman. You know, he was the governor of Utah, and he was also was he China ambassador? I believe he was. Real middle of the road guy. Real straight shooter, good integrity, very smart. Getting a little old though now, but his time may have passed. But he's another guy from the Republican side that I have my eye on. So anyways, that's my take. I'd love to get yours. Like I said, I really appreciate you if you've stuck with me to this whole little spiel here. You know, we want to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. My biggest thing is, and I want to put out there, and I think everybody, probably feels the same way, is it's easy to bitch and moan about things you don't like. But if you're going to do that, you tell me what you don't like, but give me some kind of a solution. Give us at least some ideas. And in that way, that's how you get things done. All right. So that's my word for the day. Really appreciate you listening. And I will be back in a few days. So have a great day. It's hot down here in Florida, man. I hope you guys stay cool, right? I'll talk to you later.